Good morning, YouTube. We're going to go through your comments, have a discussion about pro shooters. I put out a video a couple days ago saying it's not really a thing. Not really. There's a tiny number of people that make their living that way, even though a lot of people talk about these pro shooters doing this, that, or the other thing. It's not that much of a thing. Before we get into that, though, I've got a couple of pretty good announcements. We've got some content teed up on the channel that should be okay. We're talking about Kimber stuff. I'm going to see Lucas Botkin. Well, he's hosting Joel and I for a class. Technically, we'll see if we can get something together. Some stuff with Lucas. Brantley Merriam, great shooter. He'll also be around. He'll be in the mix. So this week in Tennessee, I should get some good shit for you. All right, hopefully. Also, I took a little day trip. I flew to Newark, New Jersey, and went on a podcast. One I'm not sure many of you have heard of, but if you look at the follower count and the quality of the material produced, you'll be like, huh, that's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting podcast. It's on Dalton Fisher. All right. So it was a one-day thing for me, like fly to New Jersey, do the thing, fly back, but it is now done. So over the next, I don't know when that's going to be released, but probably this month. Anyway, you should see some good stuff coming down the pipe. All right, let's get into your comments on pro shooters, which I say is pretty much not a thing. Okay, top comment from Lucas Bodkin, of course. Making a lot of money at your day job so you can buy whatever gun stuff you want is a far better deal. Some people didn't like that. Just be rich, LOL, top tier advice, Lucas. But let's dig into Lucas's comment, dig into a little bit of the nuance, right? So let's say that you're the type of person like you're 22 years old right now. You like the idea of being a pro shooter, but you also have the option to have a professional career. Or let's say you could do a trade. You could be like a plumber, run your own deal being a plumber or a carpenter, or you could go be a lawyer somewhere, right? You have an actual skill set that is going to net you money down the line. What should you do? Should you cultivate trying to make money off shooting or cultivate trying to make money off of your other skill set? And I agree with Lucas, do the other skill set, right? Because the biggest thing here is risk. It's difficult to make money in the shooting industry, especially starting out like that. But it's a much surer bet to be a carpenter, build up you could learn to be a carpenter, then start your own deal, build up your own business, doing all that sort of stuff and build yourself a nice income, which you can then use for shooting or any other pursuit that you want. That is a better deal than being a slave to the shooting thing. I can tell you that. What I've seen as far as the guys that I've come up with or that I was around for the last 2 decades in shooting, most of them do not understand this. And they were just focused on sort of the mystique of being a pro shooter. No, gun companies pay me, or the ammo companies, I don't buy ammo. The ammo people, they send it to me, they sponsor me. Oh, and this company over here, they send me optics. And I get a little salary from this. They're myopically focused on making money in that way, which to me is way, way, way harder. And then in the end, you end up being the industry's bitch anyway. You might have a jersey, strut around and peacock like a pro shooter, but at the end of it, you're someone's bitch at the end of the day, which most people are, in fairness. Most people, as far as their professional life, they're someone's bitch. But if you're making choices and trying to set yourself in a good spot, I wouldn't make my goal is to end up being a gun company's bitch. That's not a good goal as far as I'm concerned. Okay, let's move on. This is the type of content that so many young people need to hear. It's just like learning that those helicopter tours at every town fair are essentially unpaid pilots who need minimum hours to keep their license. If something is extremely glamorous, normally the pay goes way down. Yeah, I don't know about the helicopter thing specifically, but that example totally tracks as far as how I think it would work. Yeah, we want people to give helicopter tours. How are the helicopter tours so cheap? And yeah, I did a helicopter tour last year in Atlanta. It was really nice, and a couple $100 for two people to go up in a helicopter for an hour, or 45 minutes, whatever it was. That to me seems cheap for that sort of experience, which means the pilot is not getting paid that much. And then I did talk to that guy about his hours. He didn't have as many hours as you might think. He had like 200 hours. So yeah, it ends up being a deal that works out good for everybody. I want to fly around Atlanta, with and look at the skyline at night. And that dude wants to fly a helicopter and get some hours. So it kind of works out and the helicopter company's going to middle the deal and take the profit. It works out for everybody. But yes, usually the people trying to get in those cool jobs, it's not as cool as you think. I used to train with a guy, USPSA masterclass shooter, that was fond of saying less than 50 people in the world pay their mortgage shooting a pistol. I always found him to be spot on. Yeah, I think that's right. It's the way it is. The follow-up comment on it, one guy said, agree, and the more matches I shoot, the more I realize it's a waste of time. I only go to have fun. Yeah, I mean, the matches, yeah, it's a waste of time as far as like economically, but it is fun and you develop your skills and all of that stuff. I don't think it's good. I wouldn't go so far as to call it like poison, but it's not good when you go to so many club matches and you'll see dudes like wearing jerseys around, like acting like they're sponsored by somebody who's like, oh no, I remember the Rudy Project team. For those of you that have been around a while, I had a lot of fun making fun of them. And it was people who they buy sunglasses and get like, I don't know, they pay half money for a pair of sunglasses and then start like shilling sunglasses to other people wearing a jersey, like, shilling discount codes. Like it was crazy. You're not a pro shooter, man. Like what are you even doing? You've turned yourself into a part-time sunglass salesman for what? Okay. The closest thing someone can get to being a pro shooter, like those mentioned in this video, is to be on the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit. It's true from what I've heard. But you'd need to start early in life, dominate your junior competition, and then enlist. They don't make shooters. They find and foster top talent. But you have guns, ammo, and travel paid for. Another great option is the Guard or Army Reserve shooting teams. Shooting is a great hobby, but crappy profession. The best shooter in the world probably makes as much money as the worst accountant. It's probably true, all of that. Thanks for the honest breakdown. I found you through Matt Pranka and love your blunt commentary. Well, thank you, sir. I like to be blunt. The only person that comes to mind would be Jerry Michalik. He had a long career being a professional shooter for Smith & Wesson, and he was more than just a competitor. He was a marketing genius chasing world records and stuff nobody ever thought of. Yeah, there's that. I mean, like that would be one of the few guys. And you see, like, it's kind of like Jerry's kind of like lightning in a bottle, right? He's like really interesting skill set, like funny personality, like very sort of, he's easy to like. He's not upsetting a lot of people. He's like, oh man, I'm going to shoot this gun real fast, like that kind of stuff. So you'd see why that would work for him, right? But also you'd see why, well, there's very few people that's going to work for. I thought everyone knew this. LOL. The only reason I started shooting was to make GM and brag about it to my friends. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's what you're going to get is bragging rights. I have a friend who's sponsored by several different companies, and the best thing he gets, in my opinion, is reloading components and ammo. Yeah. He also gets parts to upgrade his guns, and he used to win quite a few guns. It made his cost to shoot much lower, that's for sure, but he always had a job. Yeah, I mean, most sponsorships are not even, it's not like you're getting money. You're getting product. They give you some stuff and then want you to represent the product. And almost they want you to act like you're on the payroll. In a sense, like the sponsorships aren't really, it's not like getting free stuff. There's always going to be some kind of obligation on you. Yeah. It's never going to be a thing until matches get viewership and sponsors from outside of shooting. People just being good at competing isn't going to bring in enough money. Totally true. It'd have to be a spectator sport, which it isn't. It doesn't really play that well as a spectator thing. Imagine training hard with the goal of making a team, and when you get there, you find out it's basically just kickbacks for turning into a social media salesman for a gun company you may not even like. Yes, that is what most of it is. And to be honest, we've seen a big shift. I'd say the last 5 years, of the broader public is just paying less and less attention to that sort of content and messaging. And it's not just shooting, right? But when on social media now you look at something like, oh, okay, this is a paid thing, or like, oh, this guy's shilling for this over here, and you just kind of like bloop, just like tune it out because like I don't care. Like I don't care about their marketing shit. Ugh. This is similar to owning a gun store. People come into my store and see lots of expensive product on the wall and assume I'm swimming in money. I have 200 plus high-end guns at my house and shoot all the time. The truth is, I made significantly more money at a corporate desk job prior to getting into gun biz, and I didn't have to work 60 hours a week to do it. I also got into shooting far more before I got into the gun business because I didn't have to work 6 days a week, 50 weeks a year. But we do get to buy guns slightly cheaper than the public, 10 or 20%, he says. You have to really like the job and really like your customers for it to be worth it. Financially, though, the gun industry is a very tough way to make a living. Yes, many such stories like this right now. Now, like I have to go like kind of looking. I like to ask people how business is going or this and that. Like I'm in like this little bubble of guys that aren't having problems right now. Like business is fine, business is good. But as soon as I kind of look at what other guys are doing, like other instructors or other retail companies, I'm just like, man, you guys must be hurting. And I think the industry is hurting right now, as are many. Here is a look from a holster company focused on competition. If a high-level shooter is already doing social media things and appears to be a decent human being, sending them a free holster is easy marketing. Yes. Oh, this is carry concealment. Oh, they sent me a holster. I'm not that decent of a human. All right. They're going to showcase that gear, and ultimately the cost of the holster on my end is well worth that publicity. Yes, I agree. Some holster companies require ridiculous contracts with binding agreements and stipulations, which is wild considering holster cost about the same as filling up your F-150. Sponsorship to me just means supporting good people with good equipment so they can focus on shooting. I'm under no delusion that giving a shooter a holster is going to pay their bills. Yeah, this is good. And then you think about it like, yeah, Weston carry, I think that's carry concealment. From the sponsorship perspective, it doesn't even make sense to have like, why would you hire one dude? So you have like one motherfucker on your staff that's trying to do all this marketing, or you can just scroll Instagram. You send 15 holsters out to 15 different people. Who cares what happens from your perspective? Who cares? Like half of them never post about it. Half of them do. 4 of them really like it and post about it a lot. And a couple of them like are, they're like, oh, this is the best ever. It's like, okay. Like that's a pretty good result for 15 holsters. It's a pretty good outcome on your end. All right. This is why I follow Ben. Always keeping it honest. Definitely an eye opener if you're sponsored. And even if you're sponsored, the company puts so much caveats down that it might take the fun out of it. Yeah, absolutely. It takes the fun out of it. Like, why do you guys think I'm such an asshole now? Is because I got to the point where it's like, okay, I don't even need to play patty cake with any of these dipshits anymore. It's a waste of time. Like, I'm like, they can't afford me, quite frankly, which isn't saying much. You know what I mean? Like they have plenty of people who will hoe their stuff out for nothing. So it's like, I don't have anything to offer them. They don't have anything to offer me. We can just go to not liking each other like normal. And that's why. It's just like I don't give a fuck about any of these companies. It's great. All right, this is good to know. Can you do a breakdown of how you structure your training from average to GM? I saw you answered a question about starting with like 5K ammo for the year, friends and family. How do you structure the training? How do you think you make it better? Yeah, I mean, there's just a complicated question and answer. It's a lot. All right. It wasn't long after I started shooting pretty seriously that I realized the gun itself is like the least of my shooting expenses. Yes, of course. And this is why in a lot of the discussions for different guns, like there'll be guys on there and just commenting like, ooh, the Glock's expensive. This other gun over here is cheaper. And you're just kind of like, why? I'm not going to argue about a couple $100 to get the gun that I want, right? That's the least of it. It's all this other nonsense is what costs a lot of money. BJ Norris is a Border Patrol agent. Yep. Christian Seiler has a real job. He does. A high-paying one, I think. A pro shooter who actually makes money is very rare and almost impossible. Good talk. Yeah, and I can also tell you from experience, you probably wouldn't want the deal if it was offered to you. You probably wouldn't want it. It'd probably be, if you have self-respect, there's probably a better deal for you. LOL, I got an Ace VR ad from YouTube on this video. That's good. More Ace VR stuff to come. Typically given the product, so you're saying the Taurus team is given pistols and they still choose to shoot something else. I'm guessing if we're making fun of Little Matt on Caleb's Team Taurus, I would guess that Taurus just gave Little Matt a couple of pistols. So this is good for him. He can say, I'm on a team, Team Taurus, which is not a great gun company, but at least you've heard of it, right? So like, oh, he can peacock around, sponsored shooter thing. Taurus is happy because they get a little bit of representation. They're only in it for a couple of guns. And I would assume Caleb would sponsor Little Matt to put a thumb in the eye of people that care about competitive integrity and all that stuff. So that's how that deal works, I think. There are a lot of niche competitions that have pro competitors that are sponsored. Other than top 1%, most of these sponsorships don't pay any money at all, just discounts on the products, not even free product. Yeah. Basically becomes a loyalty program, but requires you to do social media posts and all kinds of other free work for the company. No, like hard pass on that, dude. All right, now I have to rethink my life goals. Well, look, if being a pro shooter is your life goal, you should rethink that. There are other things you can do that are also very good. Like I'm not a pro shooter, but I'm pro shooter adjacent. I can tell you like my setup is way better than being a pro shooter. Way better. But it's not a pro shooter. I'm like adjacent. Being a national champion level shooter is so much cooler than you realize. Those guys do it all themselves. They have the discipline and work ethic to become the best at something that they really don't have a ton of support to do. Yes, this is true. This is true. It's crazy. This channel is breaching 100K. It'll happen eventually. Just cool your tits, man. Okay, this is worth mentioning for anyone more on the collector side of the gun world is that connections you make and network you're in matter. You could work at a range or a retail store and get first dibs when something rare and cool is up for sale. Okay? So why lots of bricks and mortar gun shops are filled with trash guns because the clerks and their buddies got to the good stuff. See, I don't know, I guess. I don't know what that has to do with anything. All right, shooting is a fun hobby, and although I used to work it like a part-time job, now I just shoot a couple GSSF matches a year, and in the end I win a few Glocks and it helps defer the expense, but I do it for free. Again, it's just a hobby. One year, one of these coded bullet guys sent me their shirt and gave me 35% off all my orders. So on the 25,000 rounds I shot that year, I probably saved close to $1,000. The shirt was one of those legit bowling style sponsored shirts with my name on it, and it made me good. Your mileage may vary. Yeah, that's a sponsorship. That'd be pretty normal back in the day when people were doing a lot of the coded bullet stuff. It's even worse if you're an amateur shooter. I'd like to make a shout out to my biggest and most loyal sponsor for sticking with it all these years, my day job. Yes, I earn money and buy ammo with the money. It's possible you've already sold over 1 million Glock 47s. Where's your commission? That's a good question. I should have talked to the Glock boys. Give me my commission, man. Slinging these Glocks. Most gun companies are like 3 bad months, if that, away from going bankrupt at any given time. The problem is magnified if said company has CNC machines they're still making payments on. Yeah, that's probably true. Interesting topic. I guess it boils down to how influential is team gun manufacturer shooter in promoting the brand and generating sales of product. My guess is the company believes it's probably not that influential, hence why they're paid relatively nothing and getting bent by signing a contract, cost of doing business. It's not that influential at all. And this is another sort of positive thing. I would say it's a positive thing about social media, where it's like the fact like some gun company can't anoint some guy anymore. So think maybe 20 years ago, like Smith & Wesson signed this person, right? And that's in the magazines. And that's the only medium you have to really have, there's not really a discussion. There's just this American Handgunner magazine or whatever fucking magazine. And it's, okay, Smith & Wesson signs this dude. Well, now that's a story. And really, if Smith & Wesson's saying that dude's the dude, then that's probably the dude. And then that dude becomes a big deal, right? It would work like that. But now it can work in reverse. Now you can just do your thing. And if you're on social media a little bit, people like be looking at you and, hey, Smith & Wesson signed this dude over here. Like, no one gives a fuck because they're paying attention to these other people on social media for entirely different reasons. Not that they won XYZ match or plays, or because they're out of their minds or they're funny or whatever, right? And it's about attracting eyes and attention. The people that do that are the people that get stuff. Okay, so I kind of like that shift personally, because now some company can't, there's not a gatekeeper shoving stuff down my throat anymore. I can just be like, fuck you, go around. Like, I'm not going to pay any attention to who you tell me to pay attention to just because you tell me to pay attention to them. Doesn't work that way anymore. Makes sense why he switched to training JSOC. I don't know what that is, but it sounds lucrative. All right, I'd say content creators in the shooting space and trainers like you, Ben, are the closest to professional shooters. There are a handful making a good living. Being a championship level shooter can help. This is true. Some of us do very well. I mean, obviously most don't, because that's any industry, right? You have kind of a few guys taking a lot of the pie, and then a bunch of people trying to get the crumbs. Being a pro shooter sounds like being a pro chess player. Now you don't get all the girls as a pro shooter. It's not like chess, bro. All right. I've heard European pro shooters are treated much better relative to Americans, similar to South Korea and its esports scene. Is there any truth to that? Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think they get that much stuff, like, comparatively. The shooting market is way smaller in Europe as well. Any individual sport is this way. Yes, this is true. Only the top players make a living wage and can actually afford to live comfortably. Think about how many people in the world play golf. Now, how many actually not only qualify, but actually win enough to cover expenses? Yeah, of course. People have a professional shooter confused with social media influencers. Yeah, of course that's true. Top shooters distort the market in a negative way. They don't have the value and they are too cheap. Problem are not the brands, problem are the athletes. So this reads like a guy that's bent, that other people will take sponsorships that are nothing, and he thinks that hurts how much he can command. That's how I read that. I grew up riding BMX and it's the same way. Yes, good. Just have fun with it. If you catch a few kickbacks, why not? It's not work if you love shooting. Okay, there you go. I'm surprised this is news to people. If you understand how business works, okay, most people don't understand that. It's obvious only a tiny handful of shooters make a living from it. Having a coupon code doesn't make you a pro shooter. Yes, so this is true. Anything else interesting? No, I don't think so. All right, we'll shut it off there, guys. It's a good discussion. It's good fun. Like I said, there's good stuff coming to the channel.